Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work.
Let the conversation begin. This is Let's Talk with your host, Carl Lee.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee, and this is Let's Talk. Just so you know, Coach Carp is a guest here again. And as we were going into the introduction or getting ready to get started, he's over there having a good time, which is good. But I'm here with my co-host Hollis Lewis. Everybody knows about him. I got Coach Carp. I'll let him say a little bit more about himself, and then we got a new guest that I want to make sure he gives a little bit of background about himself. I'm sure everybody's going to know him. So, Carp, go ahead and give us a little bit, and I like the good stuff, just the good stuff, you know, that you can give, and we'll go from there.
You told my name, that's about all the good stuff. Turan Rush.
Man, you first, man.
I don't mean, what else can you say?
So
what question? What
state championship?
All the good stuff.
I thought we was going in about the
You got to
topic.
brag on yourself for a minute.
Pretty sure a lot of people know I'm Turan Rush. I graduated from Capitol High School in 2017. I then went to Lancaster, California, did a semester of junior college, and then got offered a full scholarship to Eastern Michigan University, where I finished in 2021 with 2 degrees. And I just got my master's of sports studies from West Virginia State University. Now I'm just coaching. Last year I coached at Westside Middle School, back-to-back champions. Shout out to the players and my coaching staff that I was a part of. They was a big reason that we got the job done. So
hey, what's your 2 degrees?
I got my first degree at Eastern Michigan. My bachelor's, I got it in communication. I got a minor in special education with a focus in emotional impairment. And then I got my master's degree from West Virginia State in sports studies.
Okay. So just before we start, just one question. So when you go from high school to JUCO, and I don't know if people understand the route that JUCO is, it's not, you know, it's a way where you really got to work the system. You got to work at JUCO. It's not something where you may not be in the plush dorms. You may not be the glorious that a D1 will offer. So when you're going from high school to JUCO, what is that drive? What is that thing that made you stay complete and then you were able to move on to the next? Because you stayed 1 year at the JUCO, correct?
Yes.
So kind of what like I want to just dig into your mentality of how you got through that process.
I don't think my mentality changed. I've always been a war daddy.
Nice.
But I think as far as perspective, I don't think my mentality changed, but my perspective changed. I knew Coach Carp got me hooked up with Coach Jaleka out of Antelope Valley Community College, but I knew I didn't want to stay too long in junior college, so I didn't even take clothes down there. I took basketball shorts, sandals, and things like that, because I knew if you get comfortable in a situation, it's easy to then 2 years come up and be like, dang, I've been here for 2 years, ain't been nowhere. So I told myself I ain't bringing no clothes out here. I slept on an air mattress. So my perspective of like, nah, I'm not getting comfortable. I got to get out of the situation. Like, man, I know I was good enough to play at a Division I level. So it was more perspective instead of mentality.
Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that because I think we've seen a few guys go to their junior college route and they haven't been able to excel to the next level. So that's important for people to know.
But I also think that there's not a lot of people who actually think that like JUCO is a path to help you from that adjustment that you have to make. Because once you get to JUCO, it is a performance of what you're going to experience in college. And I think parents don't get it. I think our young athletes don't get it. So explain that piece of it.
That was good that you said that, because junior college prepares you for the next level. And then a lot of colleges, a lot of programs, no matter Division I, Division II, they actually love JUCO players because they're experienced.
Yep.
Because when you go to JUCO, you play against a lot of people that bounce back from Division I colleges or been in Division II colleges. So they know, okay, you play junior college, you know what it is to play against other college players. So therefore, they'd rather take a polished junior kid, whatever it is, kid from out of JUCO, out of JUCO, and then take a freshman. They got to learn the system and get stronger and faster. You know, so junior college, it's a good idea if you're ready for it. You know, it's definitely an avenue that's worth looking down if you're trying to take it, play at the next level.
Because I think a lot of players or a lot of parents got to know JUCO through the show on Netflix, right? Through the Eastern Michigan and that
Yeah,
show. So I think that was kind of the first taste
if they seen
understood what it was.
If they seen it.
If with him, am I right?
Yeah.
UC never offered you a scholarship, did they?
You said
University of Charleston?
Oh, nah, University of Charleston. No.
Fairmont, Glenville, nobody offered him a scholarship. The people were, and all those college coaches come, and they would all size him up. It was so crazy. They'd be, hey, Coach, he's just an inch too short. And I used to
Those
tell him,
metrics.
I said, yeah, and
Metrics, yep.
yeah, and I just thought, well, he ain't going to stock the tall shelves at Walmart, but he can play. And I remember having this conversation with him, and he wasn't against it, but, and I told him, I was like, look, the same girl standing in Charleston, West Virginia, if you put her on the corner of Hollywood, you've been to Hollywood, same girl out there, for some reason, girls look better in California than they do West Virginia. And I said, that's the same way recruiting is. I know somebody here in town that I tried to track down for a while who run their mouth on Facebook that I put the screws to him by sending him to junior college. And it wasn't because of grades. He had the grades. He didn't have an inch. And he didn't go to California and grow an inch. He went to California and worked his tail off and fought like hell. And I remember we painted this picture to him. And that was the only connection I had as Perry Jaleka. We coached at UC when they started back. And all these people wouldn't offer him a scholarship because he was too short. But then he goes there for a semester and grinds it, and he makes it.
See, what bothers me with stuff like, to your point, of people who are saying, oh, that ain't the right choice. How do you know?
Yeah.
Like, have you gone through the process? Have you looked at the results of the people who go to JUCO and go on to college, or go to college, come back to JUCO? Do you have any experience about it? And that's the craziest thing about, to me, the craziest thing about sports is that it is something that we talk about. But then, and there's a freedom of speech out there that you can say whatever you want to say about sports and talk about it in a way that you think you know.
Yeah.
But there's some personal types of things that you really shouldn't comment on. You can't comment on what I decided to do. You can't decide, well, you know what? Hollis shouldn't have gone to state. Turan shouldn't have done that.
I said Hollis shouldn't have went to GW. I didn't say him about not going to state.
Let's go, Peyton.
All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about something similar to that, because everybody in the room, or three of the four of us, actually, all four of us have coached at some point.
Yes,
have been part of coaching. Okay, and everybody recognizes that winning makes you the greatest coach ever. Losing makes you the worst coach ever, okay? But there are choices that, I'll make the case for me, there were choices of places in which I wanted to coach. And again, I had an opportunity to go with Bob Pruitt he asked me to leave West Virginia State to come when he was at Marshall. I couldn't do it. Because the guys that I had recruited, I couldn't leave them. There was no way I was going to be able to do that. Now, I can say that out loud now for the people who think, like, because I could have got a whole lot of teaching and all that kind of stuff. I could still maybe be down at Marshall. Who knows? But I couldn't leave that situation. But the question, the big question is who actually do we blame when everything goes south? So if you go into a rebuild, Coach, Coach Carpenter, if you were to go into a rebuild that's 2-8, 3-8, 3-7 for 4 or 5 years, and now with the way the situation is likely going to be, if you were to go into South Charleston, if you were to go into Cap, if you were to go into Riverside, the expectations of you is going to be like, well, he's going to turn that around this year. And not saying that you can't, but the reality of that is you may have to suffer through some tough years because you got young kids playing against juniors and seniors, and that's a tough thing. So let's talk about, for the parents out there who's blaming the coach because you got beat 70-0. What do you say to that parent?
I think so many people, I think miss the goodness of sports. I don't think I could go anywhere. It's about the players you got. But I was telling Mike Terry the other day. I said, if you're into coaching for the right reasons, that's my first question.
Tell
why?
us
Well, I mean, what's your why? I asked him the other day.
Yes.
Why did I want to coach? It was football saved me. I wasn't a very good player.
Football saved all of us. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and absolutely.
But and
people don't know that.
But I don't have the careers you guys had playing. But for me, it was my family.
Right.
So I wanted to be. I like the family of it. I coach because I like being around a team, and I like being part of that.
Define that, because when you say family,
yeah,
I get it. Everybody here gets when you say family, but there are people out there who's like, well, wait a minute, my kid.
Yeah.
As soon as you start to say my kid,
that's where they mess up.
That's where you mess up. Go ahead, Turan.
As a former player for Coach Carpenter, playing at the collegiate level, I think you put all this work in all year long for like 10 opportunities in the high school, 10 guaranteed opportunities. But the fun part is like Carp said, building the family oriented like space. Like I was talking to Carp the other day, like the best memories I had wasn't about how much sacks I got against Huntington or how much TFLs I got. I can remember the days me and Dorian and Trace, we would walk from Lately Field to the West Side every single day after football practice. Jeez. and we could have got a ride, but we didn't know at the time, but we was building like real friendships. Like that's the things you remember. Like when it become I and it become my kid, or it become like I instead of we, that's when you mess up. You have no chance. Like you can't win with talking about I.
But okay, let me ask a question. With that same sentiment, if you do have this parent who's in a situation in which they feel like, well, football is my kid's only opportunity to escape whatever situation that he's in, and he's not going to be able to prosper in this particular program, so I need to take him here or there or do this or that. What do you say to that parent?
Let me respond, and I bet you.
But you can't let him respond.
I want to respond to him first, and I bet you Turan's going to say the same thing.
Okay, well, okay. All right.
There is a selfish piece to any athlete who wants success, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm in high school, bro, and I already know. Like I'm already knowing where I want to go. I got to take this stop to go to college, and then I want to get to Sunday. I'm not satisfied with Saturday. I want to go to Sunday. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the best player that I can be. Now, I can't make the team the best team other than being the best player that I can be.
Yeah.
When you do that, when you individually make yourself the best player that you can be, you might be, it'd be easy for me and Turan to like, bro, look, let's do this. Because I know I'm watching him and watch him work. So we can start to get 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Now we might have 11 guys on one side of the ball, all with the same mindset.
But that ain't answering the question.
The question is to me.
To the parent. Well, like, what do you say? They got to take their kid over here because we just not getting an opportunity. It ain't going to work over here.
Here's what I would tell you.
If your kid is not putting in the effort to be.
No, so assuming he is. Assuming all that's equal. Assuming he's putting in effort, he just not getting the right looks, not the right offense, defense, whatever. I got to take him from here and go there.
No, it don't matter where you are. It ain't like that.
Okay, that's your answer. It don't matter where you are.
That's what these people
say. Go ahead. Cart got it. Go ahead.
What I would tell a parent is, like going back to your why do you coach? I think if there's two ways to be motivated. You're intrinsically, you're extra. If you're motivated by the stuff, if you're motivated by playing on Sunday, that's great. But what if you don't make it? Then I think that's why so many athletes fall apart. That's football. I used to tell them all the time, use football. Don't let football use you.
100%.
If you want to play, but that's not the case. When you're talking to these parents, a lot of these parents there's very few parents or second generation people that have that conversation. What I mean is there's very few, I don't think Turan Rush's kid's going to show up at Capitol going, if you're not playing me at DN, I ain't, I'm going to GW or I'm going to South Charleston. I don't think that's the case because his dad knows the grind, the work of part up like that. I think if that's your motivation, then I think you're doing your kid a disservice. Not that a scholarship's not important, it is. But I think there's so much more from sports, from football, that you need that can take you someplace other than that scholarship. I mean, I know people are going to say, "Oh, he's crazy," but you have to be. But
how they gonna say they're crazy when it's you?
But hold on, let's let the youngin.
Yeah, I got two things you had talked about. I think you think you have to be selfish, and it's a healthy thing to be selfish.
Yes.
A healthy selfishness.
Yes.
For yourself, because that means you love it, you want it for yourself.
You ain't blaming nobody.
You know what I'm saying?
Else.
So, but the other perspective of it, I try to always have the mindset. Me coming into Capital at my 8th grade year, I was some guys up there.
Facts, yeah.
There's some guys. So I heard this the other day on the podcast I was watching, and it resonated to me because I had to have the same mindset as an 8th grader coming in. Got to go to war every day against some guys that's the best in the state, Kennedy Award winners, 21st team All-Staters. You know what I'm saying? So I had to be a war daddy. So, but I always had the mindset of mission, team, then me. Because what's the mission? What's your mission? That's something that these parents need to sit down with their kid and ask their kid, what is your mission? Do you have a mission? Do you have a plan? Now your mission, now you got to go about what's best for the team, right? Like what you do it for. If you winning, if you doing your service to help the team win, the coach is going to come, so now you got to put the team first. How you make the team better? He freaking put me at defensive end. I never had my hand in the ground a day in my life, but I knew it was gonna make the team better, and it all worked out. And then you focus on yourself. But that's where the selfness come from. But always, if I was a coach telling a kid or somebody, I would say, "What's your mission? How's it gonna help the team first? Then you focus on your individual self."
And I asked this question because I didn't really have a conversation. Somebody was just talking to me. You know how it is. They called me, and they just talk. But I had a conversation. They were talking about a couple of the schools around here that's obviously going through tough times. And their comment to me was like, well, it ain't even the coaches, not the players. It's really the parents who are making the situation toxic for the kids and for the, just making it is what it is. So that's kind of why I asked that question.
But people that are serious about, if you're having those kind of conversations, you're not about the work that goes into it. Because what my dad would tell me? I don't give a fat rat's ass about none of that. Just get to work. You can't control all that. Nope. And the people that try, and there's my little girl over there, and my wife. Everybody wants to pick the best situation, but that ain't real. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're trying to pick these perfect. I know that's the way we were. Is at Capital's like, no, just go out there and fight every damn day. You know what I mean? And that's going to last the rest of your life. You might play NFL. I don't know. You know what I mean? But go out there and learn how to win every day. Go out there and learn how to, compete. Don't look for things like that. That aggravates me when I hear people say they have all these reasons to try to put their kid in a situation when really you need to put your kid in a situation where you're going to get your butt kicked every now and then. But what are you going to do when it happens?
Well, and I've asked this question multiple times about which is best for you, winning or losing. Now, you could say winning, man, that's, I got these trophies, I got all this, and your career is ending after youth football or in middle school or in high school. Mm-hmm. But for the guy who wants something, for the guy who really wants something, Turan's sitting there saying like, look, I didn't even take my clothes to JUCO because I ain't gonna be here long. So I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and I'm gonna get to a college.
Yeah.
Did it work? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm my dad, and I've said this 1,000 times. My dad did not care about any single thing, not a win, not a loss. He hit championships. He didn't care about nothing but my mistakes. And ask me, why you missed that tackle? Well, I don't know how I missed it. His goal was my goal. We shared the same goal. I was looking to get to Sunday.
Okay,
and so I'm making a point that parents, you can play a very important role to a kid who wants some success. But before you dream it for them, you need to ask them what they're dreaming about.
All right, but there are situations in which a kid may not prosper at one particular school or position or whatever, and then isn't it the parents' responsibility? Hold on. Let me ask the question. Let me ask the question.
You support.
Isn't it the parents' responsibility to intervene when they're seeing their kid is just not going to prosper?
If your kid's been mistreated, but that's why I wish somebody do some research on all the parents you got. I don't know them, but I'm saying do the research. Let me tell you, if you're talking about Turan Rush, how many games you start as an 8th grader? Zero. How many times you start as sophomores? One. And when he wanted to stand up, play linebacker, and he got his ass kicked down there at Cal Miller, I looked down and said, "You look like $1 million, but you're backpedaling like Carl Lee." I said, "You're making tackles." And how many people I know when you were a 9th and 10th grader, he's getting calls from all the other people around here, right? Yeah, man, you should be coming here. I'd play you. Carp ain't no, And I remember, and I had these conversations with him. And I was like, man, look, it would be so easy for you to go and play someplace else. You know what I mean? And I was, thank God.
Please listen to this conversation. Please hear this.
Thank God his dad didn't intervene and go find him someplace soft to go. And he fought like hell. You know what I mean? And he competed. There was guys there, and he worked his tail off.
I remember them years.
Yeah. But I remember them people, and there were people in the stands, and people would come to me and go, "How come Turan ain't playing yet?" Well, he just got to fight a little bit more.
But
he was talented.
But what do you do with the player who has the ability, the metrics of a Turan, but just don't have that mentality, don't have the dog? He can't, because it may be a player who's just as talented, but he can't take sitting out basically 2 years.
I'm glad you JV. What do you mean you can't?
So if I'm a parent,
you don't have my mentality.
Let me explain one more.
Hey,
how many games did you start as a junior? He dislocated his elbow week 2.
I remember that.
Yeah, so
he started his senior year.
That's non-negotiable. Like, I just feel like he said, I'm glad my dad didn't intervene in too much, because it taught me to fight. When things don't go your way, like football gonna end. So
100%.
So when things don't go your way, when your kids get sick or you got bills due, what you gonna do? Mom, these people just turned my electric off. Do you think you can go cuss them out for me because it ain't going my way? No, you can't, right? Because you gotta fight. And I'm glad that I went through them trials and tribulations as a high schooler, because now I'm good, I'm comfortable in life. When things happen, when bad things happen to me, I'm like, shit, I know how to fight.
Right.
But
at what point do you say this fight ain't worth it, or this ain't a fair fight, so I need to go somewhere else?
What fight is fair?
To make sure I'm on my kids at a good point.
What fight is fair though?
We get ready to take a break, but I'm gonna say this: if you're asking the question, about, gosh, how much more of this can I take? You ain't in it.
That's not the question I'm asking.
What are you asking?
What's the question?
I'm saying you're
is that the question you thought he asked?
No.
Ask it real quick.
What I'm saying is that we're talking about fight, which I agree with you, right? You got to fight. But at some point, I'm at this team, and I ain't got no more fight. I'm fighting, but I'm not getting recognized. I'm not getting a chance. I'm not getting even an opportunity when I'm fighting here. So I need to go somewhere else and fight.
No, maybe you might want to look at you.
But if I'm doing everything,
that mirror's the first place.
But what if I'm doing everything though?
You may think you're doing everything. I can guarantee you, there's no guy sitting on the bench.
I can't name a lot of people that did everything right that didn't have success.
Thank you.
I can name like, I was just on the phone with him yesterday. Kerry Martin, he worked his ass off. It worked out.
That's the first time I heard.
No, I'm saying I haven't. I came up. I'm sorry for my language, but I've been in a program where all the guys that put the time in and did what they needed to do, the success came. Yeah. I don't name me a story where somebody literally put everything they had in and it didn't just work out.
I can't. These parents. That's what I'm saying. That's the piece. The parents is trying to look at you and say, "Coach, you ain't getting me the best out of my kid. You can't get the best out of my kid. You're not getting that.
I can't name.
I need it.
I can't name.
So what I'm saying is that if you got a talented player, we seen a couple of the last 2 games we watched in South Charleston, and I'm saying if I got a talented player in that, and I may have to face 2 more seasons of that, I'm leaving my kid there. And I'm not gonna give him the opportunity to go somewhere else. And maybe
I'm leaving him because you know what? I want him to face that, because hopefully when he goes to college on a scholarship, he ain't gonna have to face that.
But he may not get no scholarships. Ain't nobody coming there.
Well,
they'll come there.
If you can play, that's one.
Then you can deal with life. Then you'll face life, just like Turan said. It's life.
Yeah, and I
think you can face the life situation.
I ain't gonna cut you off, but nowadays, like that all West Virginia don't get recruited, and man, if you can play, them college coaches, they coming, bro. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like Carp said, man, they can't pick up no phone and freaking call Nick Saban. But if you can go show Nick Saban you can play football and then visit and perform at the camp, Nick Saban might offer you. But you got to be good. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't be an onion in an apple basket and expect a kid to eat it. I'm being real because like we have these unrealistic expectations because like truth be told, like you have to be some type of good of an athlete to play at the next level. Yeah, like that's just truth. Like and all these parents, like, and I'm not speaking down on nobody's kids or nobody's situation, but if I wasn't good enough, I wouldn't have played at Eastern Michigan. Like I put in the hard work, but you still got to have the talent and the God-given talent. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing too. Like you have a football team of 70, 80 people in it. You got your guys that can freaking play football. You got your guys that can get better and eventually become players. And you got your guys that's there to be a part of a family. And nothing wrong with that. It's just it's just how life is. Like it's gonna be jobs where you the best. It's gonna be jobs where you just got to play your part. I mean, I don't know. This is as harsh reality as a lot of people don't want to face. But like I always look at it like that. Like. If God didn't bless me with talent, I was the guy that was able to be blessed by Capital Football, so be it. There's a lot of guys that was able to be a part of what we did that got great jobs right now and that's making $80,000 a year. Right. You know what I'm saying? So
you don't have to be the ball.
Yeah, it's one of them things where like it was a blessing to freaking wear a jersey on Friday that had Capital on it. Like I tell him about them Army pants that he made us wear. That was the freaking gold mine. I'm like, I got dressed my freshman year. I had on a freaking Army suit on, my jersey on. I'm like, I played for the freaking Dallas Cowboys when they was winning championships. Like that's how
he could play dead and John.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's one of them things. I think everybody's situation is different, and it's based on like how bad. You know what I'm saying. I don't know. It's hard. It's the harsh reality, but you got to have some type of talent also to play at the next level if that's what you're chasing.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Let's Talk. And we'll see you in just a second.
Contact Carl Lee on email. Let's talk carllee@gmail.com or text 409-422-7539.
You're listening to Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Sponsorship opportunities are available. Email letstalk@promessage.com or call 304-342-8131. For more information, visit WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. Now, back to the conversation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carl Lee with Let's Talk, and we every time that Coach Carp is on the show, he beats the break. He'll say something in the break. So whatever it was you had in the
I don't remember what I was going to say. Now y'all done shut me down.
Yeah. But okay, let me ask this then. As far as coaching is concerned, I think Coach Lee you alluded to it earlier. How do you go about, because we're seeing like the programs in the Valley are down for whatever reason. I think we beat that till it's dead gone. But how do you go about reconstructing? How do you go about rebuilding? Because I think you've been part of a rebuild, if I'm not mistaken, Coach Carr. How do you go about that process?
Before you answer that, let me add.
I do.
I do. That's the benefit. To that, speak to the coaches who are in those situations now, what they're facing when all of a sudden you have those parents who are already hating it because you're getting beat so bad, thinking about getting their kids out, which turns over again to you having ninth graders being your young 9th and 10th graders being the majority of the kids playing. So how do we get ourselves out of this mess at this point now? If you were rebuilding.
Number one thing I'd tell them is to me that was the fun part. It's so much more fun convincing people to buy in than it is trying to maintain it.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed my first 5 years so much more than because once you do get it, or when everybody
the problem is there now, right?
Well, I mean,
once you get there,
the motivation for like guys like him was, for up to like his class was, he's telling you about these camo pants was all about being part of that team.
Yeah.
That was their motivation. The D1 football stuff and the scholarships was not any less important, but it wasn't the goal, the main goal, I guess I'd say. It was a goal, an individual goal. But the team, and being part of that family was the number one goal. They were intrinsically motivated because they felt good about themselves. They enjoyed that process.
But is that something that you help create
by accident? I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm wondering how do you create that part?
How do you tell a parent? How do you get the parent to get that buy-in to want to be part of the team and not so much worried about how good her kid is going to be or his kid's going to be, compared to be part of the team and accept the wins and losses how they come?
I think as a parent, it's okay to lay off. Like if you send your kid to me, you got to trust me to like coach your kid. Like my family freaking trusted me with my life in his hands. Like, and it was okay if he taught me something and he was my coach. Wasn't no, oh, I need to talk to Coach Carpenter the game. You ain't get no carries. You didn't rush for 1,000 yards this year. So no, my dad trusted my life in his hands. So he did let the coach, but these coaches can coach, man. When the parents is too involved, and it's okay to have parent involvement. Like you know, your parents can be a part of something. That's what parents are supposed to do. But I think like his resume speak, and like let them coach. Like let them put your kid in a position. They're not gonna put them in harm's way. He care about our well-being.
So to that point, like what's too much involvement or what's too little involvement from a parent? Here's what I'm asking: is a parent's place just like going to boost or raise the money? They shouldn't be involved in the coaching.
It depends on the situation. I think like some parents, some kid, it depends on the individual situation. Some kids, you're not gonna have no parent involvement because they home life ain't good.
Yeah.
You know, some kids you're gonna have too much parent involvement because they love their kid, they want the best opportunity, but it can become an issue when you trying to overstep boundaries, and you gotta let the coach. And then there's another instinct where parents is not like involved at all, but that's again, you got great coaches around you to take that role of a parent. And then when I was at Capitol, it was there and it's still there at Capitol. You know, I think just letting the coach and just letting the coach. Like I can't explain it. It just don't get no more simple as that. Just let the coach and trust and believe that he know what he doing and things like that. Even when things ain't going right.
Oh, are we past that time? I mean, are parents unable to trust the coach? And again, you know, you look in Huntington, you already hearing, you know, folks, you know, ready to get rid of Coach Huff down at Marshall because they lost 3 games in a row, and then I guess they lost 4 games in a row, and now all of a sudden we already ready to move past him already just because of the losses. Like
I think if you're going to coach, I think first thing you got to do is keep your butt off social media. I think that's the root of all.
But some people will argue and say,
they're saying social media. Yeah, that's all I heard.
He's not saying have no presence on social media. He's saying don't look at the political.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, because once you win, if you win in every game, you're the best coach in America.
Right.
Once you lose, you're the worst coach. But as a coach, you got to understand. As a leader, I wouldn't say the coach in general. As a leader, you got to be able to be comfortable with everybody not liking you, bro. That's what comes with it. Like you're going to have people that love you. You're going to have people that disagree with things you don't believe in. But as a leader, you have to accept that and be okay with it and be able to not get on social media and voice your opinion because you know what you're doing is bigger than having your opinion out on a comment or a post. You got 80 kids to take care of. Your opinion really doesn't matter. You know, because tomorrow if we win a state championship, you're going to be running on the field hosting the trophy. You know what I'm saying? So. That's what Coach Carp means, stand on social media as and getting in the politics of it, of he say, she say.
And you can't have people telling you. You know what I mean? That'll drive you nuts when people will come tell you that so-and-so said this about you. I tell my wife all the time, that's why I don't have it. You know, I don't want to know. You were talking about talking to a young coach.
Yeah.
And like if I was, you know, I was that was part of my blessing. So I never knew. And that lately you coached furthest away from the sideline, so I didn't know when people cussed me in the stands. I didn't care. But I think number one, you got to stay with that. The second thing is, I think the most important thing and I think their parents, they all trusted me. Thank God. But I think.
But that's something about you too, though.
Well, my second year there, my first year there, we were talking about old school versus new school, and the hardest part from my second year at Capitol, my first year we were pretty good. My second year it fell apart, and we got a bunch of kids hurt, and it was just a mess. And I thought, I quit. I'm 34, and I thought, I hate this. And everybody thinks, that's what J.R. Kennedy used to tell me all the time, there's 2 jobs everybody thinks they can be, President of the United States and head coach. Right. And by God, I wish I could put that head coaching hat on a lot of guys. My dad was one of them. But everybody thinks they can do it, and I thought, I'm quitting, I hate it. Because first of all, Capital, really, and I'm sure South Charleston is probably the same way, the first knock on you is you're not disciplined, And so the hardest thing for me at Capital is that's what, they're not disciplined. And when you coach that many black kids, that's the number one thing on you right off the bat. And for me, my personality's not, I watch that Bear Bryant movie every year, and I think, man, I'm going to be Bear Bryant this year. I'm going to wear him out. And then you get there, and that's not you. It's not your leadership style. Right. And, so that was hard. But then that second year, I'm like, I hate it because that's all everybody cares about is that, I said, you want the noun or the verb when you're talking about discipline? You want me to discipline people, or you want me to teach people self-discipline?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Like, no kid wants to play for a coach that's a dictatorship. It's a difference between being a leader and a dictator. I've had a blessing with having mentors in my life. I think coaching is more mentoring than coaching. He was a great mentor. Mark Mason was a great mentor. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what coaching is about. And he knew the X and O's. Nobody around here know more X and O's than him. But I don't think nobody also is a better mentor than him. He was a mentor, bro. And football don't change. Football don't change. Like, when did you play high school football? What year?
I graduated in 79.
Okay, 79, you still had to tackle, you still had to block, you still had to know how to, you had a condition, and all that.
No face mask.
Football, football haven't changed, bro.
This will be your last time on the show.
Nah, seriously though, and that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. Anybody that played ball from where you played and when I played in high school, who wants to play for a dictatorship? Who wants to be under a person that's disciplined? Oh, you don't know how to act, so I'm going to make you quit, or I'm going to ruin your life and making you quit football. No, Coach Carp didn't do that. He made us believe in ourselves. He taught us how to learn how to self-discipline ourselves. Okay, when you don't show up to workouts, or you skip workouts, or you skip practice, or you don't do this, watch what go wrong. You ain't what me kicking you out of practice for missing practice. What are you gonna learn as a player? No, when you don't skip practice and then your quarterback gets sacked on third down and y'all lose the game, now you taking some ownership for it. Or when you get kicked out of a game and your team lose, now you got to take on that teaches you discipline.
Okay,
nobody.
Okay, so let's switch topics. Old school versus new school, because I'm critiqued constantly about it's new school stuff. Okay, well let's just define and jump in and tell me when I'm wrong.
Yeah,
where I'm wrong at, and we're gonna talk specifically football. All right. So the rules have changed in football just to make it safer. But for the most part, everything is still the same. A touchdown's still a touchdown. Tackle's a tackle. Touchdown's a touchdown.
Society has changed.
Everything around football itself is the same.
I disagree with that.
Okay, what's changed?
I think the methodology of how you go
ideology
changed. But
football's changed. It's a different sport.
Okay, it is. We throw more. Yeah. We call it something different, but it's still a pass. It's still a run. It's still the same thing.
But it's different.
I can agree. I can agree. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's all right.
Like I tried to say earlier, but you was like talking. You good at that. But like I said, football.
He's working on his last time.
Football haven't changed though. Like, you still got to be able to block, tackle, and then run. Like, and nothing changed about the game of football. But like Hollis said, the aspect of it's a new society. Like, you got to understand, like, the world changed. So like, therefore, when the world changed, everything changes. Like, not even look, commercials changed. Yeah. Like, commercials not the same as when you grew up as they is now. Like, commercials look better. You know what I'm saying? You can't play an old commercial and expect somebody to go buy the new Hellcat, the Dodge Hellcat.
I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the way I got cussed in high school, from little league to high school, you can't do that no more.
No, you can't. No, that's not football. That's not football.
I'm just saying the way we teach it though. The way we teach it, and the way it's the methodology of how you go about
the leadership style.
The leadership style. There you go.
Style has definitely had its forced to
evolve.
Change. The tackling aspect of how you handle a practice is different. You're not doing Oklahoma drills and stuff like that. All of that kind of stuff is kind of gone. But when you actually play the game, when you go to Sunday, when you go to Saturday, when you go to Friday, you go to Thursday, okay? When you're playing that game, a tall sweep is a tall sweep, screen's a screen, a block's a block. I don't care what you call it and how you taught it. at the foundation of it, it's still the same. Do we agree on that?
Football is 120 snaps of, I used to explain it like that, there's 120 snaps of me trying to whip you.
Yes.
Now you could put all that Instagram and Twitter bull crap, but it's a damn fight.
We agree with
fight.
that. I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Okay.
But this is what I'm saying. Change. You got to understand. Like people can disagree with this and say it. We have social media now, so like I think you got to be able to adjust to the environment. Like Carl Lee, like back then, you know, you was driven by something else. Like nowadays, kids want to feel recruited on the high school level. Which I'm not politically saying that's correct, but I am saying that if you want to win, if you want to have the best athletes in your city at your school, you got to do that. And I'm saying, like for instance, like my little brother Turan, he's excited by certain stuff that in 1980 that y'all wouldn't have been excited about, like having a freaking Nike logo, like, or having the best gloves, or wearing the ski mask under his helmet. Y'all would say, "Oh, that ain't football," but
they wouldn't even have.
Okay, but that's cool. But if that's gonna make
swoosh when he was
if that's gonna make Turan go out there and play lights out and go to war for his teammates, where the lime green one at? Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like we have that would change about the football. I think more of like being able to adjust to the new agenda of how kids think of how football should be.
100%.
Like that's because like you got to think Deion Sanders. Like everybody hate what Deion Sanders is doing right now, all the TV time and all the social media things, but like he just setting his kids up to win after football because like having a social media presence is everything in today's world. Like back in your day, social media one thing, but like if you could get in the best magazine, you would do anything to get in the best magazine. That's the same thing you got to be able to do for the new kids, bro.
That's a good point.
So like that's what I think will change about football and sports in general.
And I get that.
That's changed about kids.
And I think that's and Deion is a good example of what I think is a mixture of both. Mm-hmm. Because you're not coming to practice late.
Oh yeah,
at Deion. You ain't wearing the wrong kind of gear. If he said short socks or long socks, you wearing what he says. That is the dictatorship of old school. That's the piece of old school that I'm sure he remembers when he played. So he didn't lose that side of it. He didn't lose the discipline side of it. What he's tried to do is add some of the newer things, the social media to it, being present, I think if there's ever going to be somebody who you can say who's utilizing both the old and the new, I think it's him. But the success he's having, or the lack thereof of losing, the last few games, I don't know if that has anything to do with Deion per se, or his rules and regulations. Don't be late. Wear what you're supposed to wear. All those kind of things. I think those kids bought into. See, what you guys are saying, I think, is there's an adjustment that needs to be made, and I'm a lot older than both of you two, so the and not you're close enough. I'm gonna make you close enough to be coach. But I think the piece that the coaches now have to do, that is, quote, the new school, is we've got to reach out and try to excite you with something that's glowing and glistering and sparkling. Oh, you know what I'm saying? And to add to the discipline that I'm going to give you.
I don't think, when you showed up, and probably when I don't know what it was you, but when, you blindly, obediently did whatever your coach told you to do.
100%.
Here's the difference between 30 years ago and today. You showed up and you did whatever. Now, I did it because my dad raised me to do that. But
you didn't like it?
I was talking to my Neil Hopkins, coach football at East Bank, and when that's why I wanted to coach. My mom got divorced, and football was all I had, and fell in love with it, thank God, and that's why I wanted to do that. Neil Hopkins was old school as you can be. When I first started coaching, I played quarterback all the time, and I remember he forearmed me and busted my mouth. 22.
See, they don't have no idea.
No. He hollered blitz and busted me out. Right. But he was, but here's the differences, and I was telling him this a couple weeks ago. I said, I would have done anything in the world that you guys would have told me to do. Mm-hmm. But I always, and that I think just God's way of getting me to coach football is I would have done anything those guys would have told me to do. But I never felt like they loved me outside of football, and I wasn't the greatest player. But when I remember, I was telling him this several months ago. My senior year, we're playing, and I remember I get hurt. We're playing, big game at East Bay, whatever. And I remember I got kicked in the leg, something, and I'm thinking, man, it hurt, And I go to walk off, and it seemed like it took 10 minutes, and I turn around and see him, and I see him get mad, and I remember thinking, I felt sorry for myself. I thought, man, and I used to tell these guys, this was my best stories, and I said, and I remember thinking, man, he don't care nothing about all the bad things going on in my life. And I about started crying, and I felt sorry for myself, and he looked over and he said, and I'm getting ready for a cussing, and he goes, I need you. And he screamed it real loud. And it seemed like, and it was like, oh my God. And I remember standing up, and I grew 2 inches, and I thought, damn, you got it, man, whatever. And I remember I told him a couple months ago, and I used to tell them first day of practice, let me go ahead and scream it right now. I need you. So when I'm kicking your ass for, not being good, for not doing things right, understand I need you. And I told him, if you would have told me that day one, I would have been so much better, But this is like the last game of my senior year, and I heard that, and it changed my life. You know what I'm saying? That's all he said. I can remember him really. And so I think that's the difference. In my generation is probably when it changed. Like kids need to be kids today. We don't have a kid problem. We have a parenting problem.
Okay.
So when you talk about parents, what they ask. We have a parenting problem. We got people that want to make too soft for their kids, and we got people that don't do nothing for their kids. Not very much in between. I think kids today you need to be motivated by love, not fear. And when you were there, whoever your coach was, I'd guarantee he motivated out of fear.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sonny Randall. Sonny Randall was. You have the coach-player meeting at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'm a freshman. I'm in the lineup. I'm leading in tackles and had a really pretty good year as a freshman at Marshall. And I'm thinking I'm going in there. He's gonna pat me on the back. He's gonna hug me. He's gonna do a whole host of things that I'm gonna be proud of. And he knew too that my goal was to play on Sunday. So what he did was, I'm sitting down in the chair and I'm waiting on him to have this conversation with me. And he looked at me and he said, do you really think that what you did this season is enough for you to play on Sunday? And knowing that he had played on Sunday. And I'm thinking, well, what, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Now, I got a little honors. I got some stuff behind me. I'm playing as a freshman. He did it to me every single year. My senior year, I ended up getting beat for a touchdown. He cussed me from hash mark to the bench.
Yeah.
Are you happy about that? Did that change your life? Because you were built for that because your mom and dad built you for that.
Well, maybe so. But let me just say.
Maybe it's the truth.
I'm sitting there and I'm thinking this man is judging me based on what he knows. And I want what he had. So after that game's over, I got to go in and I'm scared to death, man, because I got to walk in this man's in his office and he's going to tell me I didn't do enough to play on Sunday. Now, I got scouts coming. I done worked out for him, all this kind of stuff. But I'm thinking, that play, he told me, he said, son, you'll never play now. Only touchdown I gave up my senior year. He's telling me, no, that killed you. You ain't got nothing. He sits me, I sit down in the chair. I'm petrified. He looks at me and he says, son, not only are you going to make it, but you're going to be good. I looked at that, and that sent me over the top. At that point now, all I need to do is just get in the league. Just somebody call me on draft day and let me get in, because this man's telling me I'm going to be good. Coach, that to me, he knew me well enough to say if he told me I was good enough that my freshman year, why am I going to work harder?
But let me ask a question from a new coach. Turan is the newest coach in the room, because I grew up kind of similar to you and Carp, where from Little League to high school, if I
You
feel
ain't
like
have no better at
it was
college.
coaching. You didn't cuss us in cuss
Right.
words. We cuss us out in different ways. So if it wasn't yelling and screaming and kind of going off like that. But I think obviously, as Turan stated, we live in a new age. We're more quote unquote evolved, which creates problems in itself because everything becomes internal. Everything becomes me, right? So if it doesn't fit me, if it doesn't serve me, da 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 da. So as a new coach, coaching a new generation of talent, how do you balance out that hard, gruff style of coaching, but in a new evolved era where you have to sort of placate kids in a different way?
Yeah, I do. Just let me say this. That's a valid point, because at the end of the day, they still have to get.
Yeah.
They still have to get to a place that is meaningful and relevant for them to have to work to get that dream that they want. How do you do that?
Yeah. How do you do that with new players? Like, because you got babies, you got the middle school kids, sixth graders. How do you do that?
It's like, it's simple. I just, I made them take ownership. You know, like, everybody always congratulate me, like, good job, coach. The defense is looking good. But really, like, I would literally just make them take ownership and take pride of, like, nah, this is y'all's. Like, I'm just helping y'all learn how to do the defense. But I would make this theirs. Like, that's all it is. They 12, 13-year-old kids. Like, don't put too much thought on it. Make them believe in something. Make them believe in themselves. Make them believe in the team. Make them take ownership of what they're doing. That's all I did. Like, literally, I'm not trying to say, like, sound like simple or not. Mm-hmm. Like, I believed in them. I loved them. When they needed food, I cashed out the money. They needed a ride. I made sure I was there 10 minutes early. Like, things like that. When they trusted me, they'd run through a brick wall with me, so they believe in me. I make them believe in themselves. And if I just call the defense, bro, they'd do it because they want to do it because they believe in themselves. And that's all it is. When you got like people that love football, it's not hard. Coaching not hard. Making a kid believe in themselves and loving them.
That's all I did. Let me expand on that, because I think something you said is real pertinent, because you talked about ownership, and I think we've all come through this conversation. We mentioned how parents have sort of taken the ownership away from the kids, right? Because like I said, when we were in school, when we were playing football, it was mom and dad wouldn't drop you off and they're skirting to somewhere else. They wasn't staying for practice. And whatever coach tell you to do, that's what you had to do. So do you think giving those kids back the ownership is the thing that really made them say, okay, look, I know that what he's telling me is right, and I'm going to do it because it's mine now, not anybody else's?
Yes. And I think, like, you have to coach them, teach them about, but when they mess up, I make them take ownership as well. And then I take my ownership as well,
right.
And I think, like, I just made them freaking buy in, bro. I dress like them. I listen to the same music they listen to. They grow their hair out, so I grow my hair out.
So, that's three things I can never do.
You can listen to the music.
Yeah, but like,
I can't.
No, it's just simple things like that, man. Like, in a
let me tell the story, but don't tell the person, because I don't think you guys always. I remember the day that you started believing that. Because I know at Capitol, when somebody would screw up, even the young guys would be. They would look at me and they'd be like, "Well, I want that guy." They want their own punish when somebody screws up. And I used to tell them, I said, I'm a coach. That word comes from, I take important people where they want to go. Do you know that?
Yeah. I did.
That's where the word comes from. Mm-hmm. But I used to tell them, I'm more like a captain of a pirate ship. I can take you to 5-5. I've done it. I can take you to 13-0. I've done that too. But when you went on a captainship, the captain of that pirate ship, everybody had to sign a piece of paper agreeing that guy was in charge, and he's gonna be the leader. And I used to tell them, I'm only gonna take you where you're willing to row to. And I remember they come to me, especially when him getting into his leadership role. Because now he was a pain in the freaking neck as a 9th and 10th grader. You know what I mean? Just call he was a pain in the neck, man. He was fun. He was never any trouble, but man, he was out of control. Fun. There's a lot of people would have loved to have seen him disciplined. Wouldn't you? You agree with that? Yeah. He's a pain in the ass. I remember somebody punching y'all coming out. Remember that, going to a game on a Friday night? We're getting ready to leave about 5:00. One of them seniors. He threw a hot dog at you, something like stupid, but he like to punch him. He smacked him around a little bit. Your balls dropped that day. Mm-hmm. That was great. But I remember then his senior year, he's getting to be a leader, and I think he was going down that road of old school, screaming at people. And I remember having a conversation with him and Dorian, and I said, here's what I think leadership is: serving people. You know, it's easy to kick them off. It's easy, but nobody responds. And I told him, I said, but you know, when you screwed up as a ninth grader, I never yelled at you. You know what I mean? I always loved you, and I always gave you, you know, what you needed. Don't mean loving people. You know, we're talking about three different things, in my opinion. We're talking about how to deal with parents. We're talking about then old coaches versus coaches that motivate out of fear, and coaches who motivate out of love.
Right.
Yeah.
And then parents. Parents, I don't know much about that. But you know, it's like it was you and I.
Right.
I'm sure you're all your coaches motivated out of fear.
Yes.
And mine, you know, I wanted to motivate them out of love. And I remember, you want to tell this?
Yeah, I tell them. All right, so my senior year, you know, like I said, Capital, we got players. So the 13 and 14-year-olds of his freshmen, they was our playmakers my senior year that scored all the touchdowns, you know. Me and Dorian we played defense. We stopped people from scoring. And the guys that was catching the deep passes and making people miss, them guys was 14 years old. Like, this is no lie. Like he said, I was a butthole at a freshman, and just like they was when I senior year, they was buttholes to me and Dorian. So we had this guy to play with us, freaking talented, bro, like a war daddy, you know. Grew up in the same environment as us, been through some hard times in life. So, you know, dealing with him was kind of different. And I used to think motivation and leadership was yelling. And you gonna do this. I used to think that, you know. And one day I did it to that guy, and he shut down, right? And now you not only lost a guy that was helping you win football games, but you also lost a guy that could potentially not love the game of football, because yelling and screaming is not how to get his attention. Coach Carp pulled me to the side and was like, "Go talk to him. Ask him how his day been." You know what? And I did it. Me and he forced us to do it, because we still saying, well, we gotta win football game. He was like, just go do it, or just go do it, and we did it. Changed his whole perspective about football. All he needed was a freaking conversation, and he just wanted to know that me and Dorian loved him as a teammate.
And again, that goes back to the family.
And he freaking went to war. If you looked at me and Dorian wrong, he would have punched you. And that's all off the simple conversation that he made me and Dorian learn how being a leader is not all about being a vocal leader, but just freaking checking on the guy, just make sure his home life is okay. And he was going through so much. And a simple conversation, bro, and just showing that we love and care for him as a teammate, as a friend, bro. He went to war for us every single day after that. And that's a real true story. Like,
I think those kids, those young athletes, because a lot of times football is the out for a lot of kids in certain in dramatic situations, because that they can take out that frustration on the field. I think those kids a lot of times, or young athletes, they give it up and they don't have somebody to come around them to say, "Hey man, don't give this up. You know, don't give this up. This could be beneficial. I'm sorry that I said this, or I done this, or we'll address the situation going forward." Now, I'm gonna leave that out. So I think the conversation that we've had.
We got to ask one more question.
Okay. All right.
Now, we wouldn't be the media if we didn't ask this question.
Okay.
All right. Where y'all coaching that next year?
Sharon Dole's
Where y'all coaching that next year?
Cabin Creek Colts coming back.
Cabin Creek Colts?
Yes, Cabin Creek Colts, man.
Well, I'm gonna ask the question that ain't nobody really asked. Okay.
No, I'm serious. Where y'all coaching?
Down with downtown, man.
Downtown.
Now, whatever y'all may get from that, it's a lot of downtowns. What is it, 50 states? It's a lot of downtowns.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing that either Mason resigned or whatever. I sent a text out, and to not to be. Let me tell you this. This amazes me about football is, and I told him, I said, it's so many people interested in football, but it's don't understand the goodness of football.
There's
They
two.
don't?
No, they don't. I mean, you're missing the whole thing.
And
There's two people in my life that I could call. Everybody's got a room full of phones. I mean, a phone full of numbers. There's two people I could call and say, look, man, the Russian army's outside. There's 100 people I could call, and they'd say, well, how many are there, Carp? They got machine guns? Or there's more than 100? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. There's two people I could call.
Who coming?
And they would just say, where you at? One of them's Mark Mason. Mm-hmm. There is no John Carpenter without Mark Mason.
Okay.
I mean, you just don't understand.
Right.
I think you were there one of the games you coached at when I got in a shouting match with somebody. And,
Yes.
Mark Mason enabled me to run my mouth and defend kids. Yeah. Mark Mason, it says in the Bible, find a friend that's closer than a brother. Mm-hmm. Now, Mark Mason is that guy for me. Yep. If Mark Mason wanted me to coach at Capitol, and that's what I'm saying about people don't understand. It's not like resign, step down. No, it'd be a situation of like putting a family back together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I said
he was there when we freaking won state championships. He played at the highest level of football. Right. Like I don't get it's easy to to point out people's losses. But Mark Mason,
well, let me get
this out real quick, man. Like, cause this is for real. Like, a lot of people, bash and bash parents, bash and bash. Cool, whatever your opinion. Everybody got opinions. Everybody got buttholes. That's fine. But like Mark Mason was there when we won a state championship and played in the state championship and lost in the semifinals, and he was there. He was there when I was there. The same guy that made me and Dorian Etheridge that played in the NFL sit in the back of the bus because we was dipshits. He made us sit together every trip for 4 years. And he been there, so it's like Carl said, it's more of bringing a family back together. Y'all seen Fast and Furious?
Yeah.
You think they can, all of them, all 15 of them? You think that movies can work if one of them guys didn't play in the movies? No.
I want to say this
that's
real
how
quick.
it is. That's how it is.
Capitol High School football was maybe 1 or 2 wins from the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
that's what people don't realize.
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, Musselman made the playoffs with 4-6. They beat no West Virginia schools with winning records. They beat 2 Virginia schools. They had 2 quality wins. So if Capitol beats a GW or Parkersburg South, they're playing next week. So I just want to make that clear for the record.
And I want to make it clear that my question is posed simply because, why? Why would you want him to step down? Why would he? I'm hoping that he doesn't step down because, again, look at his squad and what he did with his squad. I think even his last win against South Charleston, I mean, to me, that's enough. When you look at coaches, what happens is you win that last game and your team plays well, you have to rethink that process and say, well, you know what? Maybe he gets a few more kids. Maybe this is going to get better.
Yeah.
The good thing about Mark Mason doesn't judge himself on who plays quarterback.
Right.
The community, everybody in the world. We have that. We used to have that conversation all the time. And people judge you how good a coach you are by how many good football players you got. I think Mark Mason, one of the best men I know, but Mark Mason knows his treasures in heaven. You don't define a guy like Mark Mason out of he got put in a mess that my mouth created for Capitol High School.
Well, and he took the coaching
there would be
job
nothing
that was a mess
about there would
because
be
of the recruiting.
Yeah, and there would be nothing about stepping down or nothing like that. I wish people could see I wish people knew how that really worked.
Well, we'll I'll take it out on this. I'll take it out on this note. I think what's happening in this particular situation, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up, was because the difference in what you may think about Mark Mason versus what people who know Mark Mason think about him is way different.
But that's all that matters.
Yeah,
I don't care
about
what nobody think about me if you don't know me.
Right. Right. And again, that's that conversation that comes from the cheap seats and you don't even really know. You know, most of the people who totally dislike me have not even really been around.
How do you know if you're how do you know if you're a good coach? I don't know if I told you this last time. I tell him all the time. How do you know you're a good coach?
I wouldn't know. You know, my coaching, I wouldn't know. But I'll say
you know what I heard Steve Spurrier say? Changed my outlook when I was a big Steve Spurrier fan, because he would say what was on his mind, and he threw football, first guy to throw football. But I was one of the guys, young guy, first coaching clinic I ever went to, and he said, "How do you know you're a good coach?" And these guys are raising their hand, going, "By how many national championships you win, how many playoffs, or how many All-Staters you got, how many D1 guys you got?" And he said, by how many players come back to see you?" And I went, "Wow." You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and that was always, mine and Mark Mason's goal was, players come and go, and everybody ebbs and flows, but you can't find anybody say Mark Mason's not a great guy who loves
nobody.
You know what I mean?
Nobody.
And that's what I'm saying.
Nobody.
What a sick world we live in when people
judge him because how he coaches or what you think he's coaching. How bad you think.
You go off his whole body of work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mark
Right.
Mason, I told him, I said, Mark Mason, I was only the football coach at Capitol High School because Mark Mason supported me. Mark Mason would never let you talk about John Carpenter. Now, Mark Mason lets people talk about Mark Mason because he's a godly man. But Mark Mason would be Old Testament if you talked about me.
There's nothing, and I've gotta get off of here,
Yeah.
but I'll close on this. There is nothing better in being a coach for people who look at your record, do all that kind of stuff. There's nothing better is when you coach and the young men that you coached respect you, love you, you love them, and you're in communication with them. There's nothing more satisfying to a coach than that situation right there. You can look at wins and losses all you want. You can look at championships all you want. I truly buy into the coaches who coached me. I could have hated them in the moment, but once I got through with it and I look back at it, I'm like, wow, man, he impacted my life. Bob Pruitt would do anything possible for me. He was my DB coach at Marshall.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes.
And this is what I don't know Bob Pruitt like you do, but this is like, but what would he have done that for John Carpenter if John Carpenter played there?
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that's,
Yes.
a lot of, and that's why I used to tell them. I remember Mr. Giles used to get mad because I took everybody on the bus. We were in a state championship game. We rented a boat.
I get it.
And if you showed up, you know what I mean? I don't care who you were. I remember Mr. Giles ripped me because we let everybody play in the state championship game. He said, the game should have been over 10 minutes ago, but you took timeouts to make sure everybody got on the field. Is like, how do you treat the number 50, the 50th guy on your squad? It's easy to treat Carl Lee good because, my God, you're the best player there. But I think, like, you even, like, a Mark Mason or John Carpenter, I don't think there's outside from the guys who, some people are different. A lot of the guys, if you carry the ball, that's how they judge how good a coach you are, by how many carries I got.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you can't, that's how I judge the coaches. How do you treat everybody? Do you love every one of them? Or do you just love the guys who are really good?
I'm personally, I'm very comfortable in knowing that anybody who played for Bob Pruitt.
Yeah. I'm just using it for example.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder, like, when you're talking about NFL guys like that, like,
that's a different story.
Do you worry about this? I worry about, like, I remember this 3D coaching thing, and this guy, like, what's your legacy? What are you leaving behind? And I hope I leave something better behind than a state championship trophy. My rings, I don't even know where they are. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and your legacy's like, what do these guys say about you?
Right. And that is
I don't care about
key.
Facebook.
Yeah,
I don't care
I don't care who knows me and what they say about me. As long as I know I can walk up to one of my friends or one of the guys that I coach, who I can call friends now, and they respect me and I respect them. That's the best.
We wasn't friends when you was making us run all them gases.
No.
We wasn't friends.
That's I heard that about you like that. And I'll tell you, it was funny last time I was here because you said, I bet you were an old school coach. And like, no. One of the things I think that I wanted at Capitol, one of the most important things, is I wanted the true barometer of how well it was going was not how many games we won, was by how much joy they had on that field. If I would have asked him to run gassers, I'd have had to yell and cuss and chase him with a damn dog. You remember, we used to play tag. You know what I mean? Like, you'll go out and play. Those kids would play tag. I remember
day long.
I had Freddie Myers and them and Mark and all them were like, man, you done lost your damn mind. They thought I was some hippie. But that was like me. You motivate out of love and you want it to be joyous, then that's why I think the dangerous part about coaching now is if those parents are here, can you get my kid D1? Probably not. I mean, chances are probably not. You know what I'm saying? But he's going to have more fun. He's going to learn. He'll be a war daddy if he's a dog catcher, he'll be the best damn dog catcher in Charleston.
There you go.
You know, he probably ain't going to go to the NFL.
Right.
But
right.
But I think that's the barometer, the joy part of it. And we try to have practice that way. You know, they had to be fun. And I think that would have worked great in 1979.
Oh, probably.
I think you're an anomaly, though. You're highly motivated, great parents.
You know, it probably
you were built
would have worked,
for
but
home.
I wouldn't have known how to do it.
No,
he wouldn't know how to do none of
I wouldn't
that.
know how to do it. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. This is Carl Lee with Let's Talk. I appreciate my guest today. Great show. We'll see you again soon. We're out.
The opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of WVRC Media, its management, employees, or sponsors. Contact Carl Lee on email, letstalkcarllee@gmail.com, or text 409-422-7539.